Hi, welcome. This is Dr. John DeMartini. This is one of the most amazing and inspiring shows that you can listen into. If you want to be on the edge of your seats, if you want to open up your heart, if you want to expand your mind, and you want to meet incredible people, stay tuned because you're just about to experience a transformative radio show that will change your life. And you're listening to the Dr. Pat Show that's coming up right next.
The following audio is via a Skype call.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. Talk radio to thrive by. Powerful, inspiring, and coming to you live, bringing you stories of people like you and me, busting through and living life full out. Get ready to dare to wonder what your life would be like if you knew you could not fail. Hey, everybody, welcome. It's so great to have you tuning us in and turning us on. I love this. I love about what I get to do each and every day. And, and the reason I love to do this is, in the wake of the headlines that all of us are reading and how our hearts go out. Last week, you heard me talk about Orlando, having my folks that lived in Florida and so forth. But today again, what this show has been about for 13 plus years now, our 14th year, is about how do we live an amazingly brilliant life? How do we live to thrive? And then what is it that we can do to share that message with people all over the world and invite all of you to step into that forum? To the forum of life that will enable all of us to share our inspiration, our stories, when what that comes to mean. You don't really know. One day we may be talking with someone, our amazing guest, about, listen, this is one of the most important messages we can have today. And then 2 days later, I get an email from someone in Belize, or I get an email from somebody in Egypt, and here we are, because this is the way the digital world is connected today. So while we may be reading headlines, we're also plugging in to an energy and a vibration that would dare all of us to dream. Today I am thrilled and honored to have Diana Nyad joining me here on the show today. If you don't know who Diana is, let's just talk a little bit about her. Maverick is an understatement when I think about and I look at, what she has accomplished. She is actually world's greatest long-distance swimmer. And I want to say this about this is I actually have swimmer envy, because I am a girl from the Bronx, and the furthest that I've been able to, and I love the water, so this is really a little paradox for me. The furthest I've ever been able to swim, especially my early years, was how far opening up the fire hydrant in the Bronx could push me. But today, I will get myself out into the water. There's something about it that's amazing to me. But who is this woman that at age 64, September 2nd, 2013, 64, we watched this. We watched her emerge onto the sands, Key West, after swimming. One of my favorite numbers, I love this number, being born on the 11th, 111 miles. How did that happen? What was it about her that pulled her forward? What was it about her life that helped transform an event into an epic experience that we now get to talk about? And when we look at what that meant to have that amazing swim, stroke after stroke, what is it that we can learn today? And how can each of us, millions of us, cheering this Maverick, I love that, cheering her on, what can each of us learn from that? How did she inspire us? Well, I'll tell you about how she inspired me. Right about the same time, I was looking at my life. I was looking at, this idea of launching a network now that we're 2 months away from, that has 10 channels all dedicated to positive talk. And someone turned around to me and said, actually, one of my friends said to me, dude, you're like, really, aren't you too old for that? Shouldn't you be retiring? Aren't you looking at a pension? And, shouldn't you be looking at okay, how are you going to be able to sit back and relax? Well, I'm not going to answer that question today, but I'll tell you, that the answer came after watching. Today, I'm thrilled to introduce you to a fabulous book that she's written. It is Find a Way, the inspiring story of one woman's pursuit of a lifelong dream. And I think that for some of us, it is not our journey to go quietly into the night. Diana, it's welcome to the show. It's great to have you here.
Pat, it's my honor and privilege. I thank you so much. And I love a number of the things. You know, your whole vision is about positivity. And you're right. We pick up the newspaper, proverbially, every day. And we hear the horrors. And we are living in tough times. But on the other hand, there are lots of people like you who want to live a good life, who are aware that we are all, no matter what your religious beliefs are, we are all on a one-way street. You never get to do this day over again. And frankly, my thing isn't even about swimming. My thing isn't even about sports, really. It's about getting to the end of every day and getting to the end of this life and looking back and saying, I have no regrets. I could not, it's not that I succeed all the time. It's not about success. But I can say at the end of every day, there's nothing more I could have given to that day. And, what a great way to go through life. And there are people like you and me out there who feel it, who want to get there, and they want positivity in their lives too. So congratulations for the work you do.
Thank you. I got to tell you, it was your swim what that helped me say, retirement, that ain't me. I'm a girl from the Bronx. Yeah, I can't even fathom that. By the way, in 69, I'm burning my bra at Atlantic City. So, part of this is really having a message. And I want to ask you about this question. Along the way, before you literally got into the water for that particular swim, I'm sure you faced some naysayers. And I am so curious. I know you talk about this in the book. What was it that went on inside of you in the face of a naysayer, in the face of somebody saying, maybe you shouldn't do that, Diana? What makes you think you could? What was going on inside of you in the gut?
Oh, I don't really have too much, of an open ear to other people's definitions of what I'm capable of. I know that there was you could call it an empirical community out there that had already tried this swim, who had looked at it carefully, had studied it. Many on my own team, John Bartlett, the navigator, who's virtually a mathematical genius, said after we failed the fourth time that it just can't be done. It'll never be done. And I have to respect people. You have people on your team who have a lot of knowledge, and so you've got to be. You've got to take that in and make sure that you look into every aspect of the endeavor. But that has nothing to do with, let's take it to a broader aspect. I guess if we took the metrics of the healthcare business and we tried to look at what they consider is possible and right for the potential of a 64-year-old, they would probably, come up with all kinds of equations that said, well, a 64-year-old cannot, should not, and will never do anything of this epic magnitude. It's just not possible. You've got to be younger and more vital and whatnot. And as I said, those kind of things don't even pass my ears. I'm not unrealistic. You got to get real. You got to get real in the world of sports. You can't be a day tripping dreamer. That's different from a real dreamer. You've got to get real with what's out there and what's within you. But I just don't have a lot of respect for limitations. Who's going to tell me what the limitation of the human spirit is? Nobody has an equation, to tell us that your will cannot overcome absolutely anything on this earth. So I just, I don't wake up, thinking today I'm 66. I finished the swim at 64. I don't wake up saying, oh, now wait a second, you're 66. You better take that into account. I wake up feeling the way I feel, which is wide awake, ready to grab the tiger by the tail and swing it above my head, but I don't pretend to be 25. I don't pretend to be 45. I am 66, and there wasn't, I don't think naysayer is the right word. I think that there were some respectful empirically minded people who had really done a measurement of what this swim would take, and the variables are too many. There are too many that you can't get them together on 1 3 to 4 day period that a swimmer needs. And it was their right to say, it's not only not going to be done by you, it's never going to be done by anybody of any era, of any gender, of any age. And my answer is, well, you have your thoughts, and that doesn't affect me. It doesn't make me. I think it's immature. Frankly, I don't think it gets people many places when you say, "Oh, really? I'll show you." Oh, you left the team and you don't think it can be done. You're the one I want to come back to when this is over and point in your face and say, "You see, I told you so." That's just not part of my fabric. I think that's a waste of time. Naysaying, is a negative word. I don't pay attention much to that.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. I was actually putting it kindly, since we're on AM, FM radio here. I was kind of putting it kindly, but I'm kind of like you, but it doesn't really stop, that collective consciousness to really do. And I love what you said about this, and we're going to talk about this when we come back from break. I get to show up here today because behind the scenes that maybe you don't know, but your folks have met Linda, of course. That's why you and I are speaking. There is an amazing team of people. And like you in 2013, people were telling me, Pat, you want to create something that no radio network or TV network has ever done. And I thought, wow, I'm up for that challenge. And hence we're 2 months away from that thing, just like for you, the technology and looking at it. What are the statistics? What is the empirical data? And putting it all together. And here you and I are today. When we come back, we're going to talk about the 3 things that showed up when all was said and done. Number 3, then number 2, then number 1. Number 3, it looks like a solitary sport, but it's a team. We'll be right back with the show.
This was all you, none of it me. You put your hands on my body and told me.
Tune in to The Truth is Funny with Colette Steffen each Wednesday at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com. This hit show will have you thinking outside the box and riding the wave of infinite potential. Join Colette on the Higher Self Network, inspiring listeners to shine their brilliance and ensure success while roaring with laughter as they recognize the humor of the giant cosmic joke. Visit thetruthisfunny.com.
Wow. Hey, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. This is Talk Radio to Thrive By. I'm telling you, I got to pinch myself some days, because when each of us gets called to do something that we so not thought was in our wheelhouse to do for a purpose that's so much greater than us, we get to show up and shine.
If you would like to show up and shine on the Dr. Pat Show as a co-host or sponsor, send us an email to inspire@thedrpatshow.com.
My play, The United States of China, is about the trial of Miriam Hopkins, who is a metaphor for all that America stands for. It's the year 2018. America has become the United States of China. We've owed China trillions of dollars we cannot pay. Consequently, we default.
How long do you think it will take this financial empire to crash and crumble? Just like that.
This is more than a play experience. It's a movement to create awareness and empower people to be in action. We are strong together. We will always prevail. Get your tickets today at americathestrong.com.
Tune in to Lucid Planet Radio with Dr. Kelly Neff. This hit show will illuminate your senses and empower you beyond your daily stressors and hardships. Renowned psychologist and author Dr. Kelly will captivate you with far-reaching topics and amazing guests as you wake to the greatest version of yourself. Learn to tap into your intuitions, think critically about our world, heal emotional and psychological wounds, and follow your passions to live your dreams. The Lucid Planet. Welcome home. Visit lucidplanetradio.com for more information.
Are you ready for a game changer? Sarah Westall is bringing you Business Game Changers Radio. Sarah brings you leading experts, visionaries, and newsmakers who provide the best commentary on big issues and cutting-edge innovations. Sarah's 20 years as a business executive will help you think like an entrepreneur with expertise, energy, and attitude. Tune in to Business Game Changers Mondays at noon Pacific, 3 Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
You told me I'm giving you up, I'm forgiving it all.
Hey everyone, welcome back. It's so great to have all of you tuning us in, turning us on, and I'm so thrilled to have Diana Nyad joining me here today. The book is fabulous. You know, we get to really take the journey with her as she goes through everything from heartache to perseverance to really looking at the unexpected, as I think she puts it in the book. You know, today for all of us, we get to chat with her about the journey, the preparation, and the celebration, of course, and what this means for each of us, how we too can embark on this absolutely phenomenal story. And what is it about us that wants us to give up on our dreams? What do we do in the face of that? How do we take our lives when we're faced with big, big challenges and look them right in the eye? Diana, thank you for joining us here today. You know, I know you're very, very busy. You've got a lot of conversations that you're getting ready to have. You know, one of the things in the book that you talk about is unprepared for the unexpected. And I wanted to talk about that for a little bit. Because we don't really think about this idea of the unexpected so often. You know, maybe sometimes we keep focused on the notion of things just happening according to plan, and we plan. I wanted to ask you about this, to chat about this idea of the unexpected and what in fact happened around that for you.
Well, I suppose, you know, it's people have said it very eloquently, but it's easy. If you know exactly, even if it's tough, if you know exactly what's around the bend and you're absolutely prepared for it, then you're in control. But when you get the call that they found cancer, when you are called into the boss's office, and you're going to have 15 minutes to pack your desk because they're doing some downsizing, and they decided it was better not to let everybody know way ahead of time. Would have ruined morale, and all of a sudden you're going to have to go home and realize that in 1 month, no paychecks coming in for you and your family. If you've been sent over to Iraq and you're a tough young kid and you're ready, you know, to do your part and you're trained and you come back with your leg blown off. Where do people find the courage? Where do they find the resolve to face these? You know, unexpected would be, I guess, an understatement in these cases that I'm bringing up. But those are the people I admire. I became friends with Christopher Reeve. Here's this, one of the handsomest men on the planet. He's got the tiger by the tail. He's living a great acting career. He's a philanthropist. He's got, beautiful children, a wonderful marriage, all kinds of friends, and in a heartbeat falls from his horse, and he was a great horseman, always had confidence. He was a good athlete. Never, ever imagined, what happened, and in that heartbeat became a quadriplegic. So he could have ended his life. He did consider it, actually. But he decided that he had the power as a public figure to perhaps bring some light to the subject of stem cell research. He said to his wife, frankly, I'd rather go. I don't want to live like this. but I'm going to. And he lived for 11 years in a how can I say it, very, very disheartening, uncomfortable place. But he decided to figure out what it was he had. What did he have instead of all the mountain of things he didn't have anymore? And how could I admire anybody more than that? So I could talk about, we didn't know the box jellyfish. We're a very smart group, but that box jellyfish has now migrated from southern oceans. It's the most potent venom on Earth. There is nothing that will kill as instantaneously in the animal world as the box jellyfish. I am lucky I lived through it. I should have died that night, wrapped up in a swarm of tentacles. Usually 90% of the time, when that box jellyfish tentacle touches the human skin, you are dead instantaneously. So I could say, we didn't know the 65-mile-an-hour winds were going to come up. It's an unpredictable passage of water. We didn't know the box jellyfish. We didn't know I'd get asthma from taking that particular drug. But, compared to Christopher Reeve, those unexpecteds weren't too deep, were they?
No. And what a great reflection, though, on the courage and, how we look at things that happen in our lives, which many people on the outside would say that's disastrous. You should have hung up you should have hung up your paddles at that point in time. And I love that you pointed that out because, many of us have gone through pretty much everything you just described right there. Those of us that understand what it's like to lose a job after X amount of years, my case 24 and a half, and then also start to live your dream and come down with the mystery disease. There's something that gets us up in the morning that keeps us going. What is that? What is it that gets you up in the morning to keep you going?
Yeah, first of all, you're bringing up so much here that's profound. And, one thing is to answer that question kind of in two ways. One is the big general way. I've been very lucky in my life in terms of many things. But one is I've traveled the globe. Sometimes I can sit with a globe on my lap. And, I can find a few places I haven't been, but honestly, not many. Been to the interior rainforest of Borneo, been swimming with whales in Antarctica, I could name it. And I find that people all the world round have courage and have the desire to do the right thing for their community. They have the pluck, to not just sit in their hut or their door and lock the door, but they're out helping their community. Look at the people in Orlando who stood in line to give blood. That was so moving to see that community rise up. So I feel the human race has that kind of desire to do the right thing and to find their best selves. Even though we read about ISIS every day, that's a very small group of despicable people. But most of us have good in us, and we find the pluck to live it out. I don't know why, Pat, but at a very young age, I'm talking about in single digits, at ages 8 and 9, I had a sense that this life is going by very quickly. I had a sense of pressure. Now, most 8-year-olds can't even imagine being 9. But for some reason, I had a feeling very early on that I wasn't going to get to do any of my days over again. That I was heading toward, oh my God, what if I only had 70 years to live? I'd better get busy. So we can't do everything we want to do. We can't help all the people we'd like to help. It is a fleeting experience, this life on Earth. But I tell you, the one thing, that's why I gravitated toward that brilliant Mary Oliver poem, The Summer's Day, and her last 2 rhetorical lines, which is what I was reading over and over again when I turned 60, which is what brought me back to the quest of the Cuba swim. Those lines go, tell me, what is it you're doing with this one wild and precious life of yours? Well, I had that feeling even as a kid, like don't waste it. Don't sit around and idly let it all kind of unconsciously slip by. You might do the wrong thing. You're not going to be successful all the time. That's a given. But at least if you get up and embrace and engage yourself, your own dreams, your community, everybody around you, your family, the world at large. Let's not ruin this planet. Let's all get up and do the right thing. Now you feel alive, and now you get to the end of your life, I guess, which is my goal, and say, yeah, I wished I could have done more, but you know what? I have no regrets.
Yeah. I was looking at a number of different things about the events leading up to the swim for you, Diana. And, one of the things that we hear from people that have gone through reading all the books, watching the movie The Secret, is this idea that we put something out in the universe and we wait for it to happen. But sometimes we actually have to take action. And I was reading about the action that you took to get the approval, should I call it approval, to actually do the swim. And you could have stepped back and say, let the political system go. There's nobody for me to call. There's nothing for me to do. But that is not how that happened. And, for you, you became, sort of the person that said, listen, I'm going to have to do something. And, hey, let's try to contact Secretary Clinton. And, so let's talk about that a little bit, because you literally had to take action to make this happen. People sometimes think, well, wait a minute, I've put it out in the universe. There's nothing else for me to do.
Well, I don't have any debate over people and their philosophies of life, their religion, their worldviews, everybody. It's your life. Everyone's allowed to choose what they want. I'm not going to debate. I'm an atheist. I have many friends who are devout Jews and Christians and Buddhists and Muslims, and I don't debate with any of them. Is there a God? Isn't there? Is it your God? Is it your God? None of it. But one thing I must say I do rail against, and that is the concept of it was all just meant to happen. I think that, that's can become the du jour sort of phrase. If it's true, if it was all meant to happen, then none of us would have any desire to change our lives. We wouldn't have any hope. We would just say, well, I'm just going to kind of get on a conveyor belt and let the universe. Now, that doesn't mean.
Yeah, I'd still be homeless, by the way. I'd still be homeless in New York City if that were the case.
Yeah, there you go. Well, it doesn't mean that you can't have grace in the face of the powerful universe. I don't have the strength to turn back the tide, so I've got to read the tide charts. I've got to work with the universe. It's bigger and more powerful than I am, that's for sure. But, of course, with the Hillary Clinton thing and, how about the training? What if I sat around and said, oh, well, I know what it's going to take. I know it's going to take long, grueling, many, many, many hours and days of going out and putting my head down and suffering through, the discipline of this sport. But what if I sat back and said, well, I don't really want to put in that kind of time. I can do it anyway. If it's meant to happen, it's meant to happen. I'll just go, no, I have to stand on that shore in Havana and say to my team, who's given a lot, they didn't get paid a cent, and they all, for the love of adventure, the love of friendship, the desire to make history, they gave up their lives for years for this quest. And I had to say to them, look, something might happen out there. Winds and jellyfish and sharks and currents and eddies and, bad luck and all kinds of things might happen. But you can trust me. I didn't leave any stone unturned. And so, I could say the same thing about the Hillary Clinton. No white knight was riding through our camp to give us those visas to get over. We were not getting permission to go to Cuba. So what am I going to do? Just kind of lie around and eat bonbons and hope that it's going to happen? No.
Yeah, I mean, when I think about the so many things that folks could read in this book, and I just want to mention everyone, I am so thrilled and honored to have Diana Nyad joining me here today. Find a way. I love this. Find a way. And, when we think about what that means, so many things that we can point to that Diana shares with us in the book. But one of them so most important to me today, I'd love to talk about when we come back, and that is about our dreams. What is it that you've said, oh, man, I'm not going to chase that dream. I'm way too old to chase that dream. I'm never going to accomplish what I want. When we come back, we're going to talk with Diana about what that has come to mean for her and for the countless folks out there today that are reading this book. And if you haven't read it, I'm going to tell you when we come back how you can read about it and find out more about Diana. But for those of you out there, are you on the fence? Have you thought about stepping away from a dream that you've always had? Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Are you searching? Looking for a sign? A message you need to hear? From the great unknown? From the most mysterious place that is the most familiar to your soul in the depths of who you are? The universe put someone here to talk to, someone God gave a blessing to, that you may find insight with. TheAngelLady.net. 1-800-323-1790.
Chris Stanis is a spiritual leader and healer and teaches a course on how you can transform your life through a meditation and healing system that will manifest your spirit's dreams. She manifested the Women of Wisdom Conference, the Women of Wisdom book, and this radio show. And she can show you how to change your life too. Are you ready? Visit the website and contact her at voicesofwomentoday.com. That's voicesofwomentoday.com.
Shine on Radio. Find Your Shine with Kelly is the show that celebrates what makes you, you. Join co-hosts Kelly Wadler and Dr. Pat Basili as they break down how to brilliantly fuel and move your body and love what makes you shine. Kelly is a professional arts and wellness coach dedicated to helping brilliant women find their confidence, energy, self-love, and shine. Tune in to Shine on Radio with Kelly and find your shine on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
Hi, this is Leslie Fontaine. Are you driven by your victimized inner child? Does your child scream at the possibility of the unknown? Remember, your child couldn't drive a car, go to the grocery store, say no, control her time, or make money. Panic surfaces when we empower ourselves, start something new, or just say no. That child doesn't know the big you can take care of yourself. Rather than fight, embrace her. Let him know you can take care of him. This is a big part of healing for many of us. Need help? Visit lesliefontaine.com and let's talk about unfolding all that you want to be, do, and have. There are individual sessions, classes, and audio products to help remove the blocks and move you into your potential. And listen to my show, Sheer Alchemy, on Transformation Talk Radio, Wednesdays at 10 Pacific, 1 Eastern.
Holistic Medical Center is where you find it all. A healthy space with doctors who care, see, and listen to the whole you. Hi, this is Dr. Darvish. If you have not found an answer to your chronic symptoms, you will find answers here at Holistic Medical Center. Our doctors find the root cause of your symptoms and guide your body towards healing naturally. We transform lives from within. Visit drdarvish.com or call 425-451-0404.
I wish I found some better sounds no one's ever heard. I wish I had a better voice to sing some better words.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. It is so great to be having all of you tune us in and turn us on. I just want to say, for those of you out there, if you've missed any part of the conversation today with Diana Nyad, world champion swimmer, sports broadcaster, speaker, author of this fabulous book, Find a Way. This is a must read, by the way. This is a great book. And you're hearing today on the show why it is. You can find out more about us at Transformation Talk Radio, the Dr. Pat Show, transformationradio.fm. And again, if you've missed any part of this, it will replay again tonight. And certainly those of you that are Spreaker, iTunes listeners, you can definitely, iHeart listeners, you could download the show later on today. Diana, before we jump back into this, what is the best way for people to find out more about you and certainly to get a copy of the book?
Well, I think it's I'm trying to be in the modern world, so I guess Facebook is the way. I'm Twitter, Facebook at Diana Nyad. My website is diananyad.com, and I think, most people buy their books on Amazon, don't they? I mean, that's where you can find the book easily, but it's on my site as well. There's a bunch of blurbs about it. Thank you.
Awesome. And for those of you out there, for sure, what we would love to be able to do is we're going to give a copy of the book away later on in the show. That's what we do. We have a Pay It Forward program. We've always done it for now 14 years. That's the vibe we want to give here. Diana, I am so thrilled to be with you today. And, before the break, I was saying, listen, we touched upon this earlier about this idea you're never too old to chase your dreams. And, I'm not saying everybody kind of feels this way, but, we look at what you have accomplished. And most people would say, where do we go from here? And that's why I wanted to talk about this, because, there is in the minds of some, I'm not saying everybody, a beginning and an end, but I don't get the sense that's what you're made of. And so I want to talk with you a little bit about this idea of never too old, but what is it now that happens for the future vision of Diana Nyad, right? And let's talk about that. You had a big dream, you met your dream, it came to realization, and then here we are today. Let's talk about, okay, are we done, Diana?
I suppose it would be hard for me to find something as extreme, something that would challenge the spirit and pump the adrenaline as much as that Cuba swim. I mean, that's how impossible that star seems, will I ever feel that extreme range of motions again in pursuing something so arduous, something that took such long-term vision? I mean, literally, that was a 35-year pursuit. So, clearly, unless I'm going to be living to 120, I'm probably not going to be involved in that kind of epic, venture again. On the other hand, there are a lot of people whom I admire, and, Steve Jobs was one, and he clearly said, when you achieve your dream, you invent something, mystical, magical, world-changing like the iPhone. He said, I want to celebrate it. I hold it in my hand, and I'm in awe of what my team and I created. But I can't just sit around now on my laurels. I can't just, go to the rest of my life holding this iPhone in my hand saying, you did it. You did it. I got to move on. So I got to thinking after Cuba was over, and frankly, my life's been a bit of a tsunami since then. I'm in a very lucky stage of life where I'm out hopefully inspiring people with speaking in the book, and the Hollywood version of my life is coming. Oh, my gosh, what are we going to do about that? But I also am thinking about that was my private dream. I absolutely, as does Bonnie, my best friend and head handler, believe in the strength of life through the physical body. When you get yourself in shape, when you feel well, when you get out and walk after dinner, all of a sudden your endorphins are flowing. You're not sitting. What do we say now? Sitting is the new smoking? That's the new phrase. So Bonnie and I are launching this year an initiative called Everwalk. And Pat, we would love it if you would come up front and walk those first few miles with us. But what we're going to do over the next 5 years. All right, right on. I'm going to get you involved.
Please get me involved, because I'm not going to take up your time today to explain why this is important. But I was looking at a wheelchair in 2008.
No way.
I am going to support the heck out of this for you. Because, listen, we can do things in our lives that other people say are not possible, okay?
Well, I want to hear that personal history of yours, and I think that a lot of people will be able to take heart from that. But what we're going to do is we're going to walk the great outdoor corridors of America. We're going to start this year with L.A. to San Diego. Then we're going to walk next year Philly to D.C., Chicago to Minneapolis, and Boston to New York City. The next year, we're going to go Portland to Seattle, and we're going to go Dallas to New Orleans, and we're going to go Atlanta to Miami. And a lot of people won't have the time to walk that whole way or the ability to walk the whole way. They can walk 1 mile if they want and just be part of it. But the point is, we're going to do these epic walks. We're going to get away from our screens. We're going to be in the beautiful outdoors. We are going to be together. We're in a very divisive time in this country. I don't care whether you're voting for Trump or not. I'm going to walk right next to you as we walk L.A. to San Diego this fall. And after 5 years, we're going to walk cross country from the Pacific to the Atlantic, and we're going to get literally 1 million people to walk with us. We're going to turn this nation into a nation of walkers. We become a sedentary society, and that's affected. That's affected obesity. It's affected depression. It's affected us in a lot of ways. We're going to get up and move. So that's our new big deal, is Everwalk.
Yeah. Here we are. You're right. I mean, the whole idea of sitting around. And I just want to say this. This is important to me for a lot of reasons. I shared personally with you, but my sister died on a hospital floor, Diana, at 450 pounds. And I think it's one of the most painful things I've ever watched and felt completely hopeless about it. What you're doing is you're giving people an invitation to take their lives back. That's really what I'm hearing. I would love to be involved with this. But most importantly,
now you have to tell me. I just can't. I just can't let it go. Why were you in such a debilitated state by 2008?
In 2004, as you talked about, I had launched my dream, which was this radio show. I dialed the wrong phone number, didn't hang up, and bought my first hour of airtime. I didn't know why. But by 2004, I started to doubt myself, and I came down with a mystery disease. And I'll tell you what it is. The mystery disease that nobody was talking about was chronic Lyme's disease. But I happen to live in the state of Washington that has the best natural practitioners on the planet. So Dr. Nushin Darvish saved my life and literally saved me from having to walk. I really was. I was 100 pounds heavier. I was on very heavy medication because nobody knew what it was. And I was looking at a wheelchair. I basically, in my closet today, Diana, I have the cane that was given to me to walk around with. It was so bad, I couldn't use my hands, and I had locked myself in a bathroom without my cell phone. And I could not open up the doorknobs. So, yeah, now I'm an advocate for Lyme disease. I have a network called Lyme Global. And, by the way, we did the first show on Lyme. So, for me, that's really what it was. But what did you say in your book? I was unprepared for the unexpected. I was unprepared. But I'm like you. I got prepared. I got prepared. And I wish I could talk about my friends who did not make it. Many of them are gone. So when I was looking at that wheelchair, that was pretty much the only offering that folks had. But for us today, for you and I, we get to bring an invitation out to the world and ask people if they're willing to share their story like you are, as well as invite all of us to do something to help each other get off the couch. We are on the couch, Diana. We're on the couch big time.
Yeah, we are. And, something you said really struck me. We were talking earlier in your program about traveling the world and finding all kinds of people with courage and with ethics and the will, to do right and do good and to rise above. So, look at you. I think that it's an example. A lot of people point to the sexual abuse that I went through as a kid, and I don't bring that up because I'm some victim or I feel sorry for myself by any means. I'm part of an epidemic. I am only one of millions and millions of young kids who go through rapes and molestations. What do we have the figures now are 1 in every 4 girls, 1 in every 6 boys is molested or raped by the time they're 18 by someone they know, someone who's in charge of trying to build their supposedly self-esteem, all that. It makes me so damn mad I can barely talk about it.
I know,
not
me
for
too.
myself, but for other people, right? But the point of it is, people say to me, well, don't you figure that going through that experience made you this tough person you are today? And I say, no, I refuse to give any sort of credence to that creep who violated me and terrified me and humiliated me. What I think is that I, like most people, was born with a strength to overcome. Like you didn't find that strength when you came upon, the really tough moments of 2008. You're either going in the wheelchair or you're not. You had that spirit. You were ready to fight the unexpected, even though you never pictured you're going to be in that position. So, and I do think most people have it if they're just willing to tap into that resolve when the tough stuff comes.
Yeah. I mean, this is why you and I are talking today, because we are literally pulled forward. And I love this last point. And by the way, we are talking about it. It's never, ever. You didn't just say never give up. You said never, ever give up. Never, ever give up. That's probably for me, as you talked about before, I too have an early childhood experience like you just described. Mine was at Catholic boarding school. I too have that experience. And no, I agree with you completely. I would never give energy to abuse at any point in time as some kind of rationalization for how I am in the world. But what I would love to talk about with you is the message we can share today with people that goes beyond hope. And it's this idea of never, ever give up. That is so who you are today as well, isn't it?
Well, it is. I mean, I think that the point is, like when you say to me, are you going to do another, big epic swim? I say no, but I'll tell you, no matter what I do, I will not give up on it. So, I think that was the lesson for me to learn, and that was the lesson that it seemed other people extrapolated from that story. I often think that if you and I were go to hear a lecture tonight, let's say we wanted to go hear Yo-Yo Ma speak about his life. Yeah. So let's say we know, I can't speak for you, but let's just say that we don't know too much about the cello or about, classical music, but we listen to this person's life, and his life is filled. The story is filled with the vocabulary of the cello and the eccentricities of a stringed instrument and being a genius, a boy musician genius at the age of 3. Well, we're not just off in some weird world of his. We are now extrapolating the things he's learned, the life lessons, the mantras, the ethics, the beliefs that he has as a musician. So we listen to that vocabulary. And my story reads like an athlete's story. It's filled with extreme adventure and the eccentricities of the ocean. But the truth is, when I walked up on that beach in Key West, those people were weeping. Pat, they weren't crying, they were weeping. And it wasn't because they saw some record broken. They could care less. They weren't swimming fans. They weren't even sports fans. They were human beings who want to believe that if they don't give up on whatever it is that's important to them, that they will eventually reach that other shore of theirs.
Wow. Well, this is really for those of us listening today, the many people, and Diana, folks have heard me talk about this. I know because we've been through it here on the show, what these past 10 years have been like. There are many, many examples of our listeners today that are tuning into the show, folks that have called in, folks that we've gotten to know that have shared their stories. And what I love about this is that they also share their lives of never being willing to give up. And so what the message today, too, is, and I'm so grateful for you, Diane, I'm so grateful for what you're doing in the world, is whether or not you can have a radio show or, do the 111 swim, don't you think each of us has that brilliance inside of us to create positive change in the life they want?
We do, and the tragedy of the overburdened world at the moment is that we are now 7 billion people on the planet. Overpopulation was always going to be the issue, no matter if we talk about, the hole in the ozone layer, or a green planet disappearing before our very eyes, terrorism. It all comes down and points toward overpopulation. We've known this for for 60 years now. But here we are, and roughly half, 3.5 billion people don't have enough. They don't have enough water and food and safety to make it through each day. The rest of us 3.5 billion, we could go from, the billionaires of Bill Gates down to somebody living at a very modest rate. But the rest of us, 3.5 million, we have choices. We're lucky. And I'm luckier than most. I've had a lot of joy and a lot of privilege in my life and a lot of choices. But I guess the crime is, I don't have too many judgments against too many people, but the crime is if you really just sit around with your eyes half open and you don't pay attention to this beautiful planet, you don't look into the eyes of the people who love you, and you just let it glide by. To me, that's a crime against your own humanity.
Wow. I want to thank you for today. I know we've talked about many things. I know we've got a few minutes left. How can people find out more about how to get involved in the walk that you talked about and share that? Would you mind providing us with some information about that as well?
No, I love it. We just started a couple of weeks ago taking registration. So it's a simple website, Everwalk, EVERWALK, everwalk.com. Just browse around. Your listeners, just come on, join us. And as I said, you don't have to be intimidated. You don't have to walk the whole 145 miles, L.A. to San Diego. If we're coming to your neck of the woods at some point, you can also walk virtually. You can be in Dublin, Ireland, or Sydney, Australia, or Bangor, Maine, or Fairbanks, Alaska. You can't come, you use your little tracking device. You go out and walk 5 miles the very day we're walking 5 miles. You log on our website and tell us that you joined us and you're an Everwalker, and we'll send you your little packet that you became a real Everwalker, even though you're virtual. And we're just going to get everybody happy and healthy and walking. We're going to try to reverse the ill health of America, the egregious numbers of diabetes and heart disease and obesity. In 5 years, it's taken us since World War II to get here. We're going to try to reverse most of it in 5 years.
I love this. And for those of you out there, please go to the website, everwalk.com. And when you get there, there are ways for those of you out there saying, oh, well, I don't know. Yeah, you can volunteer. You can help out. You can do so many things to support this. Diana, thank you for today. I want to do this, ask you one last question. And for Benny, I'd like to give a copy of the book away, 1-800-930-2819. 1-800-930-2819. I wanted to ask you this last question, if I could. What is your personal message, Diana? Thank you for today. What is your personal message? What would you like to leave us with today?
I don't know about you, but I love the word engage.
I love it.
It's used in the military, like that's the moment. That when the big moment comes, that we got to move in, with the guns and whatnot, the word is engage. But to me, in a non-military sense, it is like embrace your life, embrace yourself, embrace all that you have. As I said, with the Christopher Reeve model before, don't lie around crying over what you don't have. All of us wish we had more. All of us wish we could do more. But when you're such a positive person, Pat, and you're spreading that mentality of positivity. I think that engage is the most positive thing we can do. Again, it doesn't always lead to making lots of money and being a big successful person, but I do believe it leads to happiness. They show that kids in junior high and high school, the ones who engage, the ones who volunteer for the local elderly retirement home, the ones who go to the local hospitals and do something. The ones who are engaged in their school activities, they do better in school. They wind up at better colleges. They wind up with better careers than the ones who are disengaged and just don't go out and reach out, talk to people, find out what they need, help them out. So I'm all about engagement. I think it's a very powerful, moment of spirit to engage.
I love the word. And, thank you so much, Diana, for engaging all of us in the many ways you do today and have in the past. And I am so looking forward to being in that space with you and getting a ton of people engaged in Everwalk. Thank you so much for today. I know you're quite busy. I know you've got a lot of interviews, but I want to say to everybody out there, this is the book. Find a way. Go ahead. Go get that. Thank you all for tuning us in, turning us on. We're going to take a shorty. We'll be right back.
The preceding audio was via a Skype call.